the table. Joining me now is Steve Schmidt, co-founder of the Save America movement, a citizen-led organization focused on defending democracy, the founder of The Warning, a newsletter and a podcast. I'm also with Angelo Carusone, chairman and president of Media Matters for America, a progressive research center that monitors, analyzes, and corrects right-wing misinformation. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Steve, you can put yourself into the category of people who would like smaller government, more affordable government, don't want to pay extra taxes. This just veers into the disgusting.
All of that you just mentioned, Ali, is from an era now in America that's closed. It's gone. The MAGA party is the biggest spending political party in world history. The country's debt is higher than it has ever been. And the policies that the debt underscore are cruelty and venom. And they are being injected into the country on a constant basis. And when you look at everything you talked about, which is true, consideration should be given to the fact that the architect of the Project 2025 plan, the Heritage Foundation, its leader, just crossed the street to celebrate Nick Fuentes, a Nazi, and to invite the Nazi wing of the MAGA movement into the full sunlight of open, transparent comradeship as they said about the destruction of the Constitution and the United States. A lot of these SNAP beneficiaries are Trump voters. 40% of the country doesn't have $400 available. Trump is looting the Treasury. It is the most corrupt administration in history. And all I can think to say at this moment is to remind people of the FDR quote he delivers in 1936, reminiscing about how it is the Depression began. What he said was 9 years of the ticker and 3 years of the breadlines.
Yep.
And as the video demonstrates, the breadlines are here.
Yep.
The poverty is growing. And the punishment of poverty by the richest people in the history of the earth is one of the great obscenities that we've ever seen. And the inability to articulate the depth of that depravity, the evil of that obscenity is one of the great political failures of the modern era, and it vests squarely on the shoulders of the Democratic leadership who cannot, will not meet the moment where it needs to be met as this country faces down a crisis that is growing darker literally by the day.
Yeah, it really is. I want people to remember, Angelo, when they see another video of another boat that has been taken out by a U.S. missile in Venezuela, or they watch video of a helicopter, people rappelling down a building in Chicago to arrest people. You might like that stuff. You might not like it. We're taking away $10 a day from people to eat for that nonsense. So Angelo, and by the way, I think you should comment on this, because I know you know a lot about this, Angelo, this whole idea of the Heritage Foundation and Nick Fuentes. Like, there are just no boundaries to anything anymore.
There's no boundaries to anything anymore, and I think the bigger part about this, though, is that it also is an illustration of where the power is, right? I mean, Trump built an organized power on what used to be considered the fringes, so it shouldn't be surprising that all of these institutions now start to reflect that, because they're reflecting where the power is. And I think what's more disturbing about it and more significant is that they're not just reflecting the moment, they're telling us where we're going.
Yeah.
And that's what all these are about, right? One thing is we can shake our hands at how terrible it is, and that's what we should do. We should talk about how bad it is. But we also should indicate that where it's going, because it's not just stopping here. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning.
We're not 10 months into this, just to be clear. We're not 10 months into this.
Right. I mean, and it's all laid out. I think anchoring it in Project 2025 is not just a talking point. It helps us understand and contextualize what's happening, why it's happening, where we're going. And then to what Steve was getting to before, and it all the more sort of a pox on all of us, because they're telling us in plain sight what their plan is, and we can't find a way to thwart it, to stop it. even though it is hurting so many people. And so in this larger moment, part of what's happening here is that this is just one of the many programs that they plan on cutting or gutting. And the core part of that, the reason for it, isn't just because they have long wanted to do this. It's part of what Russ Vought and others describe as soul crafting. That a lot of these people deserve to be in these situations. They lie and say many of them are foreigners, and the ones that aren't foreigners, well, their Calvinist sort of Christian nationalist worldview says, well, God wants them to be that way, so it's not our problem. But the other part about this and the transformative piece is that this is all a tool, and we shouldn't forget that, to make the presidency more powerful by using the power of the purse, by taking something that is explicitly Congress's power and moving it into the executive branch. So this is actually part of that larger effort unfolding, and we're just one step closer to that new reality.
So, Steve, the Democrats grew a little bit of a spine with respect to the shutdown and Chuck Schumer not doing it. It's not enough, but it's polling better for them than it is for Republicans at the moment. With that passion that you bring to this argument about how Democrats need to lean into this, what do you think they need to do right now?
This moment requires a philosophical understanding of something deeper than Democrats have been able to articulate, which is this. The maximum abuse of power, which is what Trump is doing, demands on a constant basis the maximum use of power by every Democratic leader wherever they may be. I think, for example, though there is much to admire about Governor Pritzker and Governor Newsom in their responses, their states are under siege. They should declare a special session of the legislature. They should convene investigative committees. I want to know specifically the chain of events that led to the firing of the pepper ball at the head of the priest. I want the full use of all statutory power 100% of the time. Those ICE agents who drove their vehicle and assaulted a driver on an Illinois highway should be arrested by the Illinois State Police. This moment requires, on a constant basis, communication. When it's called for, mockery. But from morning to night, 7 days a week, pointing out the wrong against the right, organizing, making clear the stakes for the country. And moreover, more often than not, what we see, whether it's the oversight hearings, is a sick propaganda show that the Democrats lose, as it's all, and Media Matters knows this better than anybody, packaged, bundled up, and put out on Fox News. If you're Pam Bondi and you show up at the hearing, right, with your insult cards, what does that say about the Democrats? The truth of the matter is, in this moment, there's a lot of performance, but not a lot of fight. The encroachments on American liberty demand a response at another level than what we have seen so far. And the leadership we've seen hasn't come from the Democratic leaders. It's come from the leaders of groups like Indivisible, who have put millions of people on the streets. And it's going to be ordinary Americans who get us out of this disaster.
Interesting point, Angelo. I had Judge Ludig on the show an hour ago who said the same thing. He said you can hope that the Supreme Court will do the right thing. There's no cards on the table that suggest that they will. And at that point, when the Supreme Court actually functionally fails us, which is coming possibly with one of their next decisions, it's going to be up to Americans. And like Steve said, the ability to vote and the ability to protest. Americans are going to have to take their country back somehow. That's not what politics feels like right now.
No, it's not. And part of the reason politics doesn't feel like that, right, is because you don't see Republicans acting with typical political calculuses. I mean, this is a lame duck president doing all this stuff. In theory, he should be weak, right? And he's doing all these horrible things. 1 in 8 Americans are going to lose access to food. This is a problem. But yet, their normal political calculus doesn't work. And part of that reason, as you noted, why it doesn't